Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday again. As usual, if you are watching, do please pop a hello in the comments so that I can be very polite and return the greeting. And so that I know I'm not sitting here on my own, because it's a little bit sad. Say hello if you're there. If you're there, when you're there, that would be cool. And good morning, husband. Yes, I've seen you already this morning. Good morning, Susie. Good morning, Eva. Good morning, Lani. Good morning, Carla. Good morning, Rachel. Lots of very lovely people. Good morning, Melody. Rachel, I have to tell you, I have a special story just for you. I went and had my second vaccination this week. One of the lovely volunteers that was guiding me through the vaccination centre suddenly turned to me and said, "Oh, you're wearing Larimar. That's beautiful. I never see anybody wearing Larimar." And then she looked a bit closer and she said, "That's a boar. Is that your animal?" Yes, I found one of us. So I passed on your name, your pixie maid name. She was very impressed with the jewellery and suitably impressed that she saw someone else wearing Larimar. So result, absolute result. Good morning, Xenia. Having breakfast and tea right now. That's very civilised. Terribly good idea. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Sylvie. Bonjour. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Christine. Xenia, lovely story at the vaccination centre. Well, they are so brilliant. I have to give a really big shout out to all of the NHS staff and all of the volunteers at the vaccination centres. Each time myself and my husband have been to our local one, they have been amazing. Everyone is happy, cheerful, friendly, organised, efficient. It's just brilliant. So hats off to you guys. Good morning, Leslie. Yes, Rachel, I was really impressed. The fact that she recognised it as Larimar and then asked if it was my animal. Brilliant. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Mal. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, lovely, lovely people. Good morning, Heather. Lots of lovely people this morning. Wow. Good morning, Damon. I have to give a shout out, actually, a special shout out to David Prince. Good morning to you. He sent me a message saying he's got to be out this morning. So could I give him a mention? David. And he'd also like to share that he's in Shropshire and the weather is warm, muggy, no rain, but the sun will appear later. I think you're taking the pee, David. But have a fantastic day. Good morning, Caroline. Xenia says, our staff air vaccination centre the same. It is brilliant, isn't it? Everyone has been so fantastic with it. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Tess. Good morning, Kay. Good morning, everyone. Wow, lots of lovely people. Bang on the dot. You all get gold stars for prompt attendance. Thank you. I am truly honoured. I really am. Good morning, Jane. So yes, good morning. Welcome, everyone. It is very lovely to be here. Bonjour, mes amis. Ça va? Practicing my French. It's a bit schoolgirl, schoolgirl, school-ish. But I'm practicing. I'm trying. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Sue. Welcome to Friday again. Friday in June. Yeah, mad. Absolute madness. But there you go. Tess likes my lipstick. Thank you. It is Pixie. The brand is Pixie. Pixi. I don't often wear lipstick, but that's quite nice. But thank you. Kay, it's going to be an interesting subject, but I love my Friday mornings here. Yeah, it is an interesting one today, that's for sure. Good morning, Kay. Yeah, it is going to be a very interesting talk today. She says, hopefully, it's interesting to me. Whether you find it or not, who knows? I hope so. Okay, says Toby MSC. I'm trying. I have a very, very lovely fan base in France, and 3 of my books have been translated into France, which is very exciting. And lots of people have been messaging me, and I'm trying very hard to answer in French. So my French friends, please do bear with me. I'm trying my very best. Christine, just half eaten my brekkie and realised I was using 2 spoons together. It's going to be one of those days. I am absolutely with you on that one, Christine. Absolutely. Xenia always looks forward to the Friday morning live chats. Thank you. I do too. Good morning, Lisa. Lani's having her second jab today. If there's any help, Lani, I was really poorly with the first one. Nothing much at all with the second one. Just a bit of discomfort that night, and that was it. So fingers crossed. Kay says, I think that's fantastic. You have your books being translated. It is Alliance Magique. Have translated 3 of my books into French with the possibility of a couple more to come. Curative Magic is also being translated into Polish as well, which is very exciting. But Alliance Magique are brilliant for their, they really treat their readers well. They look after them. So yeah, very, very good. Very good. Tess is fully vaccinated, very ill with the first one, no issues with the second. Yeah, that's pretty much how I rocked as well, Tess. But we will get there, people. So for anybody, Sue's the same. First jab made me lethargic. No trouble with second one. That's what we like. Damien, I'm usually working Friday, so nice to join. It's very lovely to have you with us. I do love my Friday mornings. Absolutely. So this week has been, I got to be honest, it's been quite draining. Last weekend was hectic, with a capital hectic. I was very honoured to be part of MoonCon, which was organised by the publisher Moon Books. 2 whole days of talks, individual talks and panels throughout both Saturday and Sunday. All different authors giving all different fantastic talks about different kinds of subjects. I was very, very honoured to be a big part of it. I was behind the scenes sort of pushing everybody onto the screen. And it was fantastic to actually get to chat to all of the authors as well, some of them that I've never spoken to before. So fantastic weekend. If you missed it or any of it, do check out the Moon Books Facebook page or the Moon Books YouTube channel, because you can catch up on all of the talks from both days. It's all free. They're all there for you to watch. There was some really, really interesting stuff there. And it left me quite tired. And I'm still catching up from that. But I found some of the talks academically interesting, and I learnt a huge amount. I came away with an awful lot to process. Others have left me pondering my own spiritual pathway, the direction it's going, and how I should be working with it all. Now, I already knew my pathway was starting to change a bit, but listening to all of those people, the dedication that these guys have for their pathway, the knowledge that they have of the myths and the stories, and all the other stuff that they know and that they learn and they work with, is huge. And I was so impressed by all of them. Kay says, don't shout at me. I haven't had any vaccines, but that's more for medical reasons. It's your choice, Kay. Has to be your choice. For me, I do have medical condition. I have bowel disease. I have various other health issues. But for me, the priority was to protect myself, my family, and my friends. But that's my decision to make, and it absolutely has to be your own decision. Anyway, that's another subject. Good morning, John. Still have one off school. Half term is a muddle since they privatised education with academies. I wanted to say academies. Academies. Oh dear, need coffee. So may not be fully focused and have to catch up again. It's all there for you to catch up anytime you want, John. Kay, I have to catch up with those 2 days because I had a paid for convention I was also excited to be online with. Do catch up with the talks, Kay. It's absolutely free and they're all available on the Moonbooks Facebook page and YouTube channel. The amount of information, knowledge and talent from those people, I'm blown away and so proud to be a part of the Moonbooks author team with all of those fabulous people. Elizabeth, yes, the talks are online to watch. Moonbooks Facebook page, the link is just below you, or the Moonbooks YouTube channel. Both places have all of the talks there to catch up. Heather says it was a brilliant weekend and learnt so much. It was, wasn't it? I'm really, really impressed with my fellow authors. I was blown away with their the information and the knowledge that they had. Good morning, Gemma. But it did leave me with a head full of information, whizzing about like a small child on a sugar rush. But to be fair, my brain's usually like that anyway. But it was a lot to process, and it did make me think, particularly as well, about my own more recent journey, and specifically about my interaction with deity. There were quite a lot of talks at the weekend about specific deities, Bridget, Hecate, Celtic bear gods, lots and lots. Hi, Mail was on the Bridget panel. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. 3 very lovely people talking all about their journey with the goddess Bridget. And it was amazing. Xenia has to catch up. Was knocked out on Saturday and busy on Sunday. Yours is the first one I watched the replay, loved it. Thank you. Seriously, watch the rest because, you know, they are amazing people. But there were a lot of specifically deity geared ones, and it was the dedication and the knowledge that these people have about their specific deities that blew me away. But it did get me thinking, because I have had a bit of hiccup in my own journey. Good morning, Helen. Really enjoyed the talks. Excellent. I'm so pleased. MoonCon was the first time we've done it. So brilliant. And it was very well. It just ran brilliantly with all the people being fantastic. So it was a pleasure to be a part of. So yes, it did make me think, and I decided to take, normally for my talks, I know exactly where I'm going by the beginning of the week, and it's all, you know, sorted and notes pulled together. This week, I guess because it was a busy weekend as well, we didn't have a subject until yesterday, and I thought, that's it. I am going to have to share with you guys what has happened on my own personal journey with deity. Hopefully it will help. If you have any comments, questions, and I've got a battery running low sign, so 2 seconds. Deity are having a laugh, aren't they? Keep talking amongst yourselves while I turn the plug on. There we go. Good old technology, eh? So, as I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted, my journey with deity has been difficult in the last few months, and I decided that I ought to share with you guys. If it helps, brilliant. If you have any questions, as always, just pop them in the comments. If you've got any thoughts or insights, pop them in the comments, and we'll do a bit of interactive as we normally do. It's fantastic to share, particularly with experiences, because everyone has different ones, but they are also similar. So sharing your experiences, I think, helps other people. Kay says, love other people's points of view, ever learning. Definitely. All accepted. Yes. Everyone has a different point of view. And I think particularly with deity, there are some facts involved, particularly someone like Morgan Daimler, who is a font of knowledge for particularly the Celtic gods and goddesses. She does a huge amount of research. So everything that she says, writes or does has been fully researched. Obviously, working with deity is very personal and you will have your own personal experiences, but there is a lot of myth, stories, history to it, which is also worth learning, reading, looking into as well, and making sure that the source of your information is correct, because there's a lot of rubbish out there. There's an absolute lot of rubbish out there. So it's also about sorting the wheat from the chaff kind of thing. Anyway, so here we go. Whew, deep breath. So are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. It started last year. In fact, it started many years ago. For those of you that know me, and I have also written a book about her as well, you know that I have worked with the goddess, the Kalak, for many, many years. She called me into service way back, and she has been with me ever since. And I'm talking years now, probably 15 years or so. Always been with me, always supported me, always guided me, quite often kicked my butt when I didn't do what I was supposed to, always answered my call. She is a winter goddess, so come October, I would feel her come in really, really strongly, right through to May, where she would start to fade. Now, during the summer months, she was always in the background, always there if I needed her. Quite often, she would give me another deity to work with through the summer months just to test me, but she was always there. And then come October, she'd kick back in again, and we, that's how we rolled. So last October, I expected her to, ta-da! She didn't. Okay, that was a bit weird. Bit weird. Then myself and some of the Kitchen Witch posse decided to write a course. And we've been writing a course. I know it's been taking ages, but we're testing it. So you're going to have to wait. It's a course about the ancient British goddesses, the ones that were around before the Romans came and changed all the names and stuff. And it's been fascinating. But we wrote it back in last summer, and then we started test running it in December last year. So October, I was expecting the Kalak to come in, and she didn't. November, nothing. December, we started test running this course. And we delved into the goddess Nematona in December, and it was amazing. So I decided that perhaps it was just the Kalak sulking because we've been working with other goddesses, because, they do sometimes. They do get a little bit jealous. So I worked through December. January came, and I thought, right, let me work with the Kalak. Let's work January with the Kalak. Let's really go full on. Let's do total commitment, absolute attention paying to the Kalak, rituals, meditations, offerings. Let's really connect with her. I thought it would bring her back on board. What actually happened was nothing, zero, zilch, absolutely nothing, not a contact, nothing, not even a flicker, except for what I'm now terming the bracelet incident. A few years ago, I performed my usual yearly dedication ritual to the Kalak. Come October each year, I do a little ritual for her to welcome her back. And a few years ago, I found this beautiful silver and blue topaz bracelet. And I dedicated it in my welcoming ritual to the Kalak. And I wore it ever since. It was my nod to her. It was my dedication piece to her. And then, it wasn't cheap. We're not talking just costume jewelry. This was a silver and blue topaz. So it was beautifully made. One morning, early this year, I reached across the bed to pick something up, and ping, a shower of blue topaz beads cascaded into the air. It was quite impressive, actually. The bracelet was gone completely, absolutely shattered. It hadn't caught on anything. I was just reaching across the duvet. It just literally imploded. Now, there must have been 50 or 60 beads on that bracelet. It was silver thread wire, and it was a proper silver clasp. How many beads did I find? 5. 5 of those beads I found. Where did the rest go? Absolutely no idea. Even now, I've never found the rest of the beads. I have no idea where the silver actual bracelet part went. Never found that either. Didn't even find the silver clasp. All of it disappeared. Gone completely. Kay says, anything worthwhile is waiting for. It is indeed, and working for as well. Maria likes fierce ones. Oh, I had to have a fierce goddess, Maria. I can't be doing with fluffy, flowery ones. I wouldn't be able to work with them. I'm too much of a strong personality. Good morning, Melanie. Can't believe I almost forgot it's Friday. Yeah, end of the week, Melanie. Wow, says Kate. Yes, it was a bit of a wow moment. Sue says, it's funny you should say silver and topaz bracelet, but I found my bracelet this week. It's been missing for months. So you've got it then. Transported to your house. It was bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Now, I should have felt upset. What I actually felt was relief. I remember messaging the girls and saying, this has happened, but actually I feel quite relieved, because it seemed to me that it was a message from the KLEC telling me that it was okay to let go, that she'd moved on to other things. So it was a relief. It was upsetting because it was a beautiful bracelet. But I think I had been, in those last few months, worried that I'd done something wrong, worried that that she'd gone, that I'd upset her, that I'd done something horrendous. So this sign, quite spectacular as it was, felt to me like that was her saying, do you know what, it's okay. It really is okay to move on. She's been a huge part of my life and my pathway for those, like I say, about 15 years or so. But now, to be without her, I admit, it has left me feeling a little bit bereft. I do feel a bit lost. Definitely do feel a bit lost. Sue says, sorry, we'll get it back to you when we finally meet. Hold me to that, Sue. John says, you press the car key to get into the front door of the house. It doesn't work like that. Good morning, Terry. Kay says, maybe she felt that your journey was on another road. Well, this is it as well. I thought initially it had to do with the fact that I was working with these other goddesses, but I don't think it is necessarily. I think it is that our time had come to an end. Which again, I am quite sad about, but it has left me a little bit out there. I have continued working with the ancient British goddesses, because we do, before we put a course out there, we always test run it, because, you know, you find stuff that doesn't work or doesn't flow or ridiculous spelling mistakes and things. So it's been fabulous working with different goddesses, and we have worked with some really interesting ones. I am really excited about this course, and obviously there's also going to be a book because, you know, it's me. And I have connected with some of these goddesses. Some I have, some I haven't. Some been okay. Others I've kind of felt, oh, this is going to be a good one. There was one, Vabia, I think it was, in particular, that challenged all of us. Really challenged all of us. So it's interesting. None of them have left me with the connection that I had with the KLEC. And to be honest, I have worked with different deities over the years. I've been on this pathway for nearly 30 years or something ridiculous now, officially. And when I first started, the first thing I did was look at the Celtic pantheon, because I live in England, and that made most sense to me. And I worked with a few. Rhiannon springs to mind. Never know how to spell it. Aine, Anwi, something like that. Anwin. Oh, these names. And I have worked with Merlin for a while. I worked with Balanas back then. I'm working with him again now, but I worked with him back then. But I then sort of became a bit more open, and I have worked with whatever deities have come my way, and I've worked with some amazing ones. Ocean was fantastic to work with. Ganesha, he's behind me now. I've worked with him for a few years. He comes and goes. whenever I need his particular talents, I work with him. I worked with Papa Legba even, who was an interesting, not necessarily deity as such, but he was an interesting spirit energy to work with. There have been various ones, whether I've actually been told to work with them, such as Artemis, I needed to work with for my third degree, within third degree. So some I've been pushed towards, others have come to me for short periods of time. I worked with the Ark of the Goddess course, which is a course and a book. That gets you to work with a different goddess every month. And I worked with 12 different goddesses throughout that year, and it was fantastic. But none of them had that connection that I had with the Kalak. So I am feeling, I've decided that this is my gap year. I've decided I'm having a deity gap year. Just to, maybe it's me having a bit of a breather. Definitely. Gemma, it was a severance. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was her saying, we're done, let's step away from this. Definitely. Jane says, losing the Kalek from your practice sounds like saying goodbye to a favourite old auntie now she's passed on. Yeah, it is. It is very much a big ending. Kay says, sometimes like a mama bird who kicks out the fledglings from the nest. They still love you, but love means letting your children fly free or find a new teacher, god, goddess. Yeah, quite possibly. Sometimes, said with a thought tone, they are saying, stop using me as a crutch, you're better than you think. Yeah, I don't think I did necessarily. We had a good working relationship, basically. I don't think I've ever used a deity as a complete support network. I get what you're saying, but no, we had a good working relationship. Tess says, sounds like my career, been in maternity for 17 years now. Ooh. That's my idea of a nightmare, Tess. And now trying to move out of it. Time to move on, but that's a big step into the unknown and feel in no man's land, as my new career has a long way to go before I get anywhere. It feels like starting again from the ground up. Yeah, absolutely, Tess. Do you know that you've hit that right on the head, I think. I do feel like I'm starting again from the bottom, which, I'm quite happy to do because I love learning. And I do, 30 years on, there's still horrendous amounts of stuff that I don't know. Watching Moon Gone last weekend showed me exactly how little I know about everything. Starting again from the ground up. I quite like that, Tess. Thank you. Sue says, I envy you. You make it seem so easy to work with gods, goddesses. I seem to struggle every day. Oh, no, it's not, Sue. Absolutely no. May make that very clear. That is a very good point. It is not always easy to work with the gods and goddesses. It's a relationship. It is absolutely a relationship. And you have to make any relationship work, you have to work at it. People always say to my husband and I, we've been together 29 years this year. Oh, you're so lucky to have such a good relationship. Well, yes, but it takes work too. It doesn't just happen. You have to make relationships work, the same as you do with friendships, work relationships, business relationships. It's the same with deity. You have to make that initial contact, or they make it with you, and then you have to build it. You have to build trust. You have to build that connection. You have to build that rapport. You have to work with meditations and rituals and offerings, and particularly, to use an example, the Hindu deities. There are so many specific rituals and ways of approaching deity that you have to do a lot of research too, to make sure that you are doing the right thing. So very good point, Sue. Thank you. It is hard work, as it should be, really, I guess. Some easier than others, perhaps. Jane says, I felt drawn to various deities, but have never made a strong connection with any of them. Not yet, anyway. And that is, Jane, that's absolutely fine. I know an awful lot of pagans that never work specifically with a matron or a patron deity. You don't have to. Let me make that clear. It's not necessary. You can work with different ones. You don't have to work with any deity, to be honest. let's be really honest about this. If you want to just work with the goddess as a whole, if you want to just work with the moon and the sun, or the sky and the land, or just the divine in general, absolutely go for it. This is your own personal pathway, so it has to work for you, and it has to be in a way that you want to work with them, and that works for you. I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but my idea of deity is, originally at the beginning of all time, there was an energy, a spirit, male, female, neither, both, an entity, a divine entity. And then that belief was interpreted by each individual culture, which is why Hindu deities look like Indian people and Norse deities look like Norse folk, and, you know, the outfits, the look, the everything, because it was all translated by each different culture. Same beginning, same deities, same divine, same energy, but interpreted so that it worked for each culture. And I see that as a great big diamond. So for me, the goddess is one huge diamond, and all of these different deities are just different facets of that one diamond. Each one has its own individual character and personality, but they are all part of the one, part of the whole. So for me, although I work with the Kalak over the last few years very strongly, she is, for me, just one facet of the overall goddess. You might see it differently, and that's absolutely fine. Lani says, maybe time for you to rediscover a new part of yourself, a new part of your path. I do actually have that feeling, Lani. There is something there, but I'm very impatient. And I want to know exactly what it is right now. Karen says, I've just had Sulis arrive in my life. She is one of the deities that we're working with in our course. I have quite a good connection with her. I've been to Bath several times, which is her kind of homeland. She is a beautiful, beautiful goddess to work with. So enjoy, Karen, do enjoy. She is a lovely deity to work with. So I'm looking forward to the month that has her in. Lizzie, I'd look on it as you've left home, but you need to go home for your washing to be fed during the holidays. Excellent. That's excellent, Lizzie. Thank you. Maria, I have no explanations really when it comes to deities. It just happens. Yeah, it's one of those things I think that I am just going to have to wrap my head around it and just accept that it's happened. But I mean, as you can see from around me, everything is the Kalak pretty much. So it's quite a big change. Elizabeth, I've been deity free for a few years and it can't feel a bit, and it can feel, I'm assuming that means can feel a bit lost. I think it is because she has been with me for so many years. It's very strange. It's very, very new, and I'm not sure comfortable feeling. Jane says, I think my problem with deity might stem from growing up a Catholic and taking over 60 years to pull away from it. It's felt like trying to unpick myself from thousands of bits of Velcro. You guys have fantastic ways of describing things. Yeah, I think history. I spent 6 or 7 years in my teenage years going to Baptist church. Yeah, I think a lot of pagans probably come from Christian backgrounds as we were younger. Looking for a faith, perhaps, and not finding the right one first time. But yes, everyone's path is individual. And I mean, mine has changed so many times. It began with Wicca, and again, I've talked about this before, so I won't go into huge amounts of detail, but pre-internet, Wicca were the only books you could get hold of. So it started as Wicca. But it changed into, as soon as I discovered hedge witchcraft, it kind of changed. That put another spin. I've done druidry training as well. That added another little bit to it. I have worked with the magical practice of hoodoo, and that brought in my love of folk magic. So all of these different things have come together to make my path the way that it is. The whole cooking, baking side of it brought the kitchen witchcraft into it, which is kind of where I've ended up. But I have always been open to all of the deities from wherever. I think with this focusing on the ancient British goddesses, that is the pathway that is drawing me in at the moment. But we shall see, because I don't have a huge amount of clarity on that moment. I think I have to work a bit more with it. There's a comment there from my husband questioning, "You impatient?" Mm-hmm. Don't know what you mean. Oh, Sue's gone for a quick coffee in the bungalow. Shout a bit louder and I can hear. Thanks. You lot are bonkers. You're absolutely bonkers. I love you all for it. Gemma says, "Hello, loving your talk this morning. So inspiring and honest." Thank you, Gemma. As I say, I've been struggling with this since last year. And because it was very personal, I kind of thought, well, let's not mention this yet. But today felt like the right day to do it. And I'm hoping that it will help someone. If I help one person with my talks, then I'm happy. I think as well, people do look at published authors or speakers or people that are in the pagan world and think, you're perfect. Honestly, I'm not. And I think it helps to say, actually, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has things happen to them that they don't understand or that they don't know what to do with. Just because I've been walking this path 30 years or so doesn't mean that I know what to do when something like this happens. I am trusting absolutely on my intuition, but at the moment it's not really telling me a lot. So I'm kind of desperately treading water at the minute. Xenia, that's how I see deity too. Diamond with different facets. Excellent. It's personal for everybody. So, there's no right or wrong here. There is no right or wrong. Kay says, "I always think that the deities want their people to feel comfortable to begin with and approach different people as they are themselves. Like a child, we gradually learn and then we realize they are different, but hopefully by then we're mature enough to accept that." I think this is the thing as well, isn't it? We want to see deity as human beings because we're human beings. If deity appeared to us as pink blobs with 17 antennae, we probably wouldn't be able to relate or connect with them as much. Unless you're like me and you're into sci-fi, that wouldn't worry me at all. But I think we do. We put this kind of human face, dress them in the clothes that we're familiar with, so that we can connect with them easier. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just the way that happens, really. Lizzie says, "Glad I made you smile." You all make me smile, Lizzie. I do like to laugh. Thank you. You did cheer me up. I do love the way that you guys describe things. It's a way that I understand. Maria says, "Hello to Pete and Eric. They are downstairs today. Pete and Eric downstairs today. Pete's working, so I come up here so that I don't interrupt him if he gets a phone call." Alison says, "I was having trouble connecting to Hecate and took a shamanic journey and resonated with a different feeling goddess." I think probably this is interesting too, isn't it? That we mix things. Hecate is Hellenic, shamanic journey is something else. We do tend to mix everything and mix it all up, which is absolutely fine with me. Whatever works. That's my entire pathway, picking bits and pieces from here and there. I don't work with shamanic stuff. There was a very, very good shamanic panel on the MoonCon last weekend. Very interesting. And I also work with Ellen Sentier quite a lot, and she is a British shamanic practitioner. Yep, Britain had shamans too. Don't get hung up on the word. For me, the practices are hedge riding. I don't do shamanic journeys. I do hedge riding. Very similar, just a different way of doing it. So that's another culture doing exactly the same thing, just interpret it in their own way. So we do mix stuff up as well, which I do wonder sometimes if that does confuse things, but that's how we roll. So there you go. Leah, I work with Frigga, then out of the blue. Oh, you're throwing these names at me, aren't you? Flidice decided to show up. I had never heard of her, and I've enjoyed researching her. I think that's also important to mention, Leah. Thank you. If you do have a deity turn up, one that you haven't worked with before, do your research. You need to know who you're dealing with. You absolutely need to know who you're dealing with before you start getting involved, just so that you have that kind of background. Xenia says, shamanic journeying can bring some surprises, bringing you different entities than you expected. Yeah, absolutely. And head riding does the same. Any kind of trance journeying does the same. If you're open, then whoever you need should come to you. Not necessarily who you want. We've been doing this before. You don't always get what you want. Hopefully you get what you need. And perhaps, just talking out loud now, perhaps that is light bulb. Perhaps I need a space. Perhaps this is, my gap year. This is me having a year to explore my journey without having deity involved. I don't know. Helen says, maybe this is time for you to know a new aspect for yourself, but you will never totally lose the connection. There's no separation. When the time is right for the new to come in, it will most probably hit you suddenly. I'm 69 and last year has been a whirlwind. Absolutely, Helen. I'm 53 this year. So, yeah, new things at 53 is a little bit scary. But actually, I don't mind. I have always embraced change. I do love the Death Tarot card. I like the new journeys. I like the new pathways. I love learning new stuff. This was just a bit of a whammy that I wasn't expecting. And I think that's it. I'm a control freak. I don't like things happening that I don't have control over. So maybe that's my lesson too. Maybe that is my control freak lesson. Could be. Kay says, I was studying with a Jehovah's Witness years ago, but only because she was a good friend and I was young. But my mum, who is psychic, said, I'm being told Kay is on drugs, meaning a detrimental path. So it highlighted that wasn't the path for me. Yes, leaving a deep-rooted faith is very hard. Yeah, it is. I will clarify, I'm still pagan. I'm still a witch. Oh, absolutely. I'm like Seaside Rock. If you cut me in half, there'll be witch running through the core. I am fascinated. I'm actually, fingers crossed, the next festival that's happening, I've been asked to run a menopause red tent. With that, I'm going to be working with Mary Magdalene, which is an interesting one. I chose her because it seemed to go with it, but perhaps not an obvious pagan deity. So it's all interesting, and I think I know a few Christo-pagans that work with Jesus and Mary as deities. So I think if you do have that rooted family religion that's not pagan, you can make it work with witchcraft. Generally, you can make it work. Damien says, they don't call it the crooked path for nothing. Yes, indeed, it can send you in many directions. Absolutely, it can. Kay says, her ancestry is Native American. Fascinating. My ancestry is English. Lots and lots of English with a little bit of Scandinavian, apparently. But pretty much English. So yeah, that's really one of the reasons why I have been exploring the ancient British deity pathway. Sue says, I do wonder whether I'm swapping and changing a lot or too much. Hecate, Athena and Apollo at the moment for different aspects. Research, ritual, meditation and offerings to strengthen the relationships then. I think when you're learning, and I think when you are walking your pathway, it's absolutely fine to work with different deities. We work with them for different things. You would call on a love goddess for a love ritual. You would call on a war deity for strength and protection. You would call on an abundance harvest goddess for prosperity. So we do call in different deities for specific rituals, for specific spell work. We teach it at the Kitchen Witch online school. One of the lessons to learn about deity, we get you to investigate a couple of different pantheons, 4 different deities from there, because it's all learning. I think it's absolutely fine, Sue, to learn about these different deities, particularly if they call to you. You've got to listen. Ganesha came to me when I needed him, and I wasn't listening at first. I kept seeing elephants, not literal elephants, because an elephant in the middle of the pathway in England would be a little bit strange. But I kept seeing them on the television. They kept popping up in books. I saw them on jewelry, on fabric, on cushion covers, elephants everywhere. So it took me a while before I realized he was trying to get my attention. So I think part of it, and this was mentioned last weekend too, we need to notice things. We need to be open. We need to look. We need to listen. We need to watch. We need to notice things that are around us, because quite often deity tries to get our attention in subtle ways. So it's about listening. Definitely do your research first, Sue. You need to learn their stories, learn about their stories and their myth, not learn them so that you can recite them back, because, you know, there were plenty of people last weekend that did that and it was awesome. But if you're just working with them or learning about them, read their stories, read their myths, find out about the country that they are located in, the foods, the weather patterns, the landscapes. Do meditations to meet them. If you want something from them, give them offerings, because it's only manners to say please and thank you, and that can be done in offerings. You'll know if they're there as a matron or patron deity, but that relationship does take some time to build up. But again, it's relationships. If you want to work with these deities, if you would like them to help you with your ritual, if you'd like them to lend their energy to your spell work, make that relationship contact first, like you would with any. You wouldn't go up to a stranger in the street and ask them to help you move house, would you? Well, I don't know, maybe you would. You would ask that of someone that you've struck up a friendship with. Don't worry, I'm not moving house. Definitely not moving house. Waiting for some renovation, but not moving house. So yeah, I wouldn't worry, Sue, but do your research, explore it. This is part of the fantastic pagan pathway, is the exploration that comes with it. Definitely. I'm pressing all the buttons and all the comments are disappearing. Oh, it's one of those days. It's been a very long week. Oh, look, I've lost loads and loads of comments. Right. There we are. Christine, if I connect with any deity, it's Artemis and Diana, also Merlin. I love working with Merlin, actually. I have done an Avalon course, which was fascinating, which took me to Merlin. But me being mad as cheese, and we absolutely love you for it, Christine. I prefer to work with animals and magical creatures. Absolutely. I mean, I talk about deity because for me, it's a big part of my pathway. But I also work hugely with animal spirit guides. And I think, well, let's face it, I talk to the car and, you know, the fridge, and it's animism, covers everything. Yeah, you don't have to work with deity at all if you don't want to. You know, there are lots of different avenues to take. John says the link of Catholicism, big word for this morning, and paganism is so obvious. It's supposed to be a monotheism religion, but has adopted all the gods and goddesses as their saints, worshipping more than one through the back door. The Catholic has so many synchronicities with paganism. Yeah, and of course, if you look at the Santeria religion, the deities have all been given to saints names, and there's all these crossovers, and yeah, it's interesting how many crossovers there are between a lot of the different religions, actually. Yeah, you got to make it work for you, really. Lani says, in any areas of our lives, I think that everything happens for a reason. What those reasons are, we don't always know or understand. Ain't that the truth? Just having trust and faith out there is a reason. This is what I'm trying to do at the moment, Lani. I'm focusing on it being my gap year, and that it will all become apparent at some point. Xenia says, Ellen Sentier's talks are super interesting. She is, love her to bits. She's absolutely bonkers, which is why I love her to bits. If you want to catch myself and Ellen talking, we do a chat every other Thursday, which is aired on the Moonbooks Facebook page. You can find it on all of those talks, previous ones as well, on the Facebook page and on the Moonbooks YouTube channel. We never have a subject, we just go for it. In fact, we did one last weekend as well, shooting the wild witch bees. And it's interesting because her pathway is different to mine, but similar, because she works with all of the ancient British connections as well, but from a shamanic point of view, whereas mine is from the witchcraft point of view. But again, there's lots of crossovers. It is fascinating. Karen says, Ellen is lovely. Love your talks together. You really complement each other. Thank you, Karen. We have a blast when we're doing our chats. Jane says, many years ago, I was having discussions with some Jehovah's Witnesses, but had to back off when they didn't believe in evolution. My husband's a geologist. Yeah. I actually think that science and magic go hand in hand. I think for me, it's important to understand that science plays a part in magic. Absolutely. And I don't, it's fact. Science is fact. But there you go. Xenia, it can be tough, but often what we need. Yeah, we get what we need, not always what we want. And that's quite difficult. Jane says, I'm 68 and new things aren't scary for me. I feel I have an awful lot of catching up to do. Yeah, I do kind of think that with all the stuff that I want to learn and that I still haven't learned, going to have to take me several lifetimes to do, I think. Kay says, I never did join that church, but it was an interesting experience. I find it interesting learning about other religions anyway. If someone has a faith, a really strong faith in whatever it might be, I'm in awe of that. And I love learning about the new stuff and why they have that faith. I think it's fascinating. Teresa says, interesting for sure. Mary Magdalene has come up for my husband recently. She's another interesting one that I didn't know an awful lot about, but I have researched into hers because she felt like the right one to use for a menopause red tent. So I ran with it. I trusted my intuition and I ran with it. And it's going to be interesting. Red tents aren't really my area of expertise, but again, new experience, being led, follow it and see where it goes. Lizzie says, Ganesh came to me as a name I woke up with. It was a time when I was dealing with a lot. So, when I found out he helped with obstacles, it made perfect sense. He pops up from time to time and has helped many times. Caredwin is generally my main squeeze. Ganesha for removing obstacles, for making things move swiftly, for rushing things through, for clearing the way. He's your guy. Absolutely. And offerings for him are brilliant. He loves sweets and cakes. It couldn't be a more perfect deity for me to work with, really, could it? I bake you a cake. Yes, definitely one for removing blockages and letting things flow. Absolutely. Xenia says, there's nothing mad about that. I do shamanic work and I mostly work with animal spirits and other spirits rather than with specific deities, apart from the great goddess, not more specified. And I think that absolutely works, Xenia. Absolutely works. I do have mediumship training too. So the spirit world for me is not unfamiliar. All different parts, and they're different parts of what we work with. Elizabeth says, I'm Jewish, so feel allied towards the ancient Jewish goddesses. And that, Elizabeth, for me, sounds perfect. I think particularly as well, I don't know a huge amount about the Jewish religion, but I think if your family works with all that, and I know there are specific celebrations and festivals and ways of working with things, I think if you can work that into your witchcraft pagan pathway, fantastic, go for it. I'm all for it. I think it is a brilliant thing to do. Lizzie's waiting for her DNA info. It's a fascinating journey to take, Lizzie. I was very surprised. My son had his done. That's how I know mine. I will have mine done properly. But yeah, very interesting. Didn't come out, as I'd thought. But there we go. I pressed the button and all the comments have disappeared again. Do you know, last week about this time, my husband appeared with a cup of caramel latte. Can't hear any movement today. Rubbish. Service in this place is terrible. Jane says, 20 years ago, I was comfortable being a Catholic witch, but my parish priest made my life hell. That's when I realised the church runs on testosterone and blokey dogma. Yes and no. I have met a couple of very, very open Christian priests. In fact, with the Druid group that I was with, we did a ritual in a church because the vicar, priest, different names on there, was so open to it all that we went and did a Druid ritual in the church, which was amazing. Xenia loves the Ellen Rachel talks to. We do have a blast. Kay says, the most important skill to have and develop is a spiritual discernment. Oh, two big words again for today. Because then you think for yourself rather than being confused which road to take, if that makes sense. Trying to be succinct here and not write an essay. That's your homework. Everyone has to write an essay on spiritual discernment. I think intuition for me is a real big key. It always has been. It's something that we teach their students as well. You have to learn to trust your intuition. And I do. But sometimes the answers aren't there because they're not supposed to be. And again, that's about me trusting in the divine or whatever, that this is a space, this is a breathing space, and that I need to just trust that when the time is right, things will happen, she says. Sue says that's really helpful. Sue, message me if you have any, always happy to help. Alison, you have a school. Oh, yes, we have an online school of witchcraft. It's been running for 9 years now. Kitchen Witch Online School of Witchcraft. We teach witchcraft from the base upwards, all 3 levels, to right up to high priest, high priestess training, should you require it. We also run independent courses as well. The independent courses, all of the money goes to charity. But they're all on the Kitchen Witch Hearth website if you want to have a look, Alison. Xenia says, me too. I talk to the supermarket when I can't find stuff. It works. I thought I was the only one. It's nice to know that we're in this together. Lani's off to get her jab. Good luck, my lovely. Eva says yes. Maria says alchemy. Alchemy is fascinating too. Oh, another subject that I need to delve into and learn lots of stuff about. Dawn, love your and Ellen's chats. Thank you. We do have fun doing it. Oh, there's a link there. Look, fantastic link to the Wild Witch Breeze chats. We do talk about random things, I will warn you now. Xenia says, back in time, science and magic weren't even separated. No, yeah, well, alchemy. Yes, Maria, thank you. I'm making sense to me now. I prefer magic and shamanism combined with science over dogma. Yeah, I think science, for me, definitely plays a part in it. Absolutely. Maria says, I love that picture on the wall to your right. My right. I don't know which way we're going. The one on the door is Wendy Andrews. This one is the book cover from my book, The Kalak. That was drawn by my daughter. This one is The Kalak, drawn by Susie Ellen Edwards. That one is Terry Pratchett's 3 Witches. That one is Fairies, Linda Ravenscroft. And that one is The Kalak, Dan Goodfellow. So quite a collection there. One behind my head too. Maria, that's the one you gave me. The Kalak behind my head. Anything like that will stay up on the wall. It is all still facets of the goddess. It is still important to me, and particularly ones. This one was gifted. This one was gifted. And this one I draw to do. So it will all stay there. I'm not having a clear out or anything like that. Teresa says that's really cool. I'm interested to hear more about how you work with her for the menopause. It's all disappeared again. Pressing the wrong buttons. Oh, it's all gone. Yes, interested more about how you work with her for your menopause. I'm working on my menopause douala. I can never say that word, certification. Teresa, it's actually taken from the Curative Magic book. There's a whole section about menopause in there, and there's a ritual in there for working with Mary Magdalene, which is what I'm basing it on. Caroline says, menopause red tent sounds amazing. Menopausal brain struggles to retain new information. Oh, I'm absolutely with you there, Caroline. 6 years into it now, and I'm... Kay says, isn't there more than one Mary Magdalene? One supposedly a prostitute, one a female, no inference intended. Yeah, I think, if you can make money from it, go for it. That's my position anyway. And one a female apostle with Jesus. Even when she and Jesus had a relationship, I think it's very complicated, Kay. It was all very complicated. So I work with Mary Magdalene as a figurehead, if you like, that encompasses all of the characteristics and the qualities that I require for what I'm doing. Karen says, I've done some work with Mary Magdalene. My friend works with her all the time. She holds a group of ladies who work with her too. I think for me, she really is absolutely red tent material. She just fits for me. It seemed right. So that's the way I took it. Mendy says, Baba Yaga has been popping up for a lot for me. I think she's telling me about the change that took place in my life. She is a phenomenal deity to work with, Mendy. Do enjoy that one. Kay says, some African cultures have special women huts or homes where the women gather to support one another whilst they're hormonal. Yeah, that's happened throughout tribes and cultures across the world. They also have the whole village support women until the child is 5 years old. Again, not just African. That's happened across cultures across the world, and it is, something that we should be doing, really. It's my husband. How many caramel lattes has your husband got you already this week? More than one. Dawn says, every Friday morning when you do your chat, I have jackdaws coming and sitting on my bird feeder and looking through the window. What goddess would they connect with, please? Do you know, I've only seen jackdaws a couple of times when I've been down in Cornwall. We don't get them in this area. I've never seen a jackdaw in my local area. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure which goddess they would specifically be drawn to. There are several goddesses that work with crows and magpies and things like that. Jackdaws, I'm not sure. So if anybody else has any inspiration, do let me or Dawn know. I think you have to investigate, Dawn. Do a bit of meditation to meet the spirit of jackdaw. It might not be that they're actually there for a particular goddess. It might be that it's the jackdaw that's got the message for you. Jackdaw may be contacting you with a message or because he wants to lend his energies to you. I would meditate first to meet the jackdaw and see where it's going to lead you. Jane says, working with deities seems out of reach for me, but I feel a strong pull towards my ancestors. Another fascinating area to work with, especially my nan, who took some important secrets to the grave, including the identity of my mum's real dad. DNA has since shown that I'm nearly half Welsh. It's the only clue I've got. When I was writing music years ago, most of it came out of the Celtic feel. So now you know why. It is a fascinating area to work with. Ancestor work is amazing to do. Sarah says DNA is interesting. I also do family history. Quite pleased with it matching. But also if you can do parents or aunts and uncles, as we get different parts, even if we share 50-50 with parents, yeah. My sisters will be slightly different to mine. I am ancestral based mainly, but Freya and Hecate come and go. Yeah, ancestors, fascinating to work with, absolutely fascinating. Maria, yes, this one is one of Susie's, yeah. The Ink Witch, if anybody wants to have a look. So yes, Christine says jackdaws remind her of Merlin. Brilliant. So we are way over an hour now, so we could talk all day, couldn't we? Thank you. Maria's putting some links up for jackdaws as well, but definitely I think it's a jackdaw animal spirit rather than a particular goddess, but do investigate and find out. If you are free this weekend, Sunday 13th, 7 p.m, over on the Kitchen Witch Facebook page, we have our summer solstice ritual. do come along and join us. Details are in the Kitchen Witch group. It has been quite therapeutic today. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, it happens to us all is basically what I wanted to share with everyone. I will spend time in the coming days, weeks and months investigating and exploring, adapting and creating new devotional pathways and ways of working. Again, if you missed the talks last weekend, do go to the Moon Books page and have a look at the MoonCon talks. They will make you think, that's for sure. But yes, be open to whatever comes your way. It may be deity, it may be animal spirits, it may be ancestor work. It could be anything. There is no right or wrong. Trust, which is a lesson for me, really. Trust that even if life throws a big change in your way from your spiritual path, that it will be for a particular reason. Might not be clear at the time, but trust. So thank you all very much, guys, for joining me. You are absolutely fabulous and make my week talking to you lot. Have a fantastic time. Hopefully see some of you on Sunday. Any questions, any concerns anybody's got about anything to do with your pathway, do message me. I will always do whatever I can to help. Big hugs to you all. Take care and have a fantastic week.